To my high achieving, free spirited leaders. In this video, I'm talking about how leadership is changing and why this is a powerful time for you. I'm Ebony, a leadership guide with 30 years of living in the corporate world as a senior vice president and a corporate expat, and the global cultural world as a student of wisdom traditions. And on this channel, I help free spirited leaders who refuse to choose between ambition and freedom create a life, career, and organization that feels aligned, soulful, powerful, and joyful. If that resonates with you, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are notified when I post a new video. So today we're talking about leadership and how it's changing. And if you're paying attention, I know you can feel it. You already know that something is changing. You know that what worked 5 or 10 years ago, it no longer has the same power. It may not be as effective anymore. Many of the rules that we were taught to push harder, stay composed, do things in a very prescribed way, don't feel too much. Those rules are quietly breaking down. But we haven't reached the true vision, the place where we're going. We haven't reached it quite yet. This is a place that many of you would love, places that you dream about, where it's a workplace that is more collaboration than misalignment, where there is more intention and honesty in the communication, where there is more humanity than unhelpful policies and politics. During this time of unraveling, it is normal for it to feel challenging, uncertain. And I'm noticing and having conversations with leaders who are handling this in different ways. But I'll tell you, the way of ease through this is to actually realize and accept that things are changing. And for you, because many of you have been feeling this shift for a while, many of you have been desiring workplaces that are more human. And for you, this can be a very powerful time because you know the power in what these workplaces will become. And throughout the years, you've likely been the most capable, the most responsible, maybe even the ones carrying most of the weight. And you may not have received your just recognition. And we're moving into a time where your strengths and gifts as a leader are more and more important. This isn't the first evolution, though. Throughout history, organizations, businesses, industries, and thus leadership styles have transformed. They've evolved over time. In the Industrial Revolution, manufacturing culture and businesses expanding rapidly, leadership in many ways was defined by control. It was top-down hierarchy, lots of rules, do things the right way. And what that does is, while those businesses may have been able to get results, they were making quality products, that's great. But it also sets up a scenario wherein there is a lack of collaboration in the organization. Those are also organizations many times where success means sacrifice. Sacrifice everything because work comes first. And what we all know, or that many of us know, is that in that environment, the old leadership model exhausts people. People are tired. I've seen it firsthand. I've had so many conversations with leaders who are telling me that they are just exhausted. They're disengaged, or they're losing themselves trying to hold everything together. But you know what? There's an inner demand for leadership that's changing. Something inside of us is saying, these old rules aren't working, because we should not go to work and feel completely exhausted day after day after day, month after month, year after year after year. So it's interesting that we're living in a different world now. We're living in a world where there is constant change. There is more emotional complexity and nuance, cultural tension, and the uncertainties that many leaders are dealing with today doesn't resolve itself by the end of the month or the end of the quarter. It is an ongoing sense of uncertainty and tension. So right now, there's this very interesting dance between control and the old way and freedom and the new rules. What is interesting is that when I recall the words of wisdom from leaders of cultural and spiritual traditions from around the world, and I'm going back 10, 15 years, they always spoke of a time when paradigms would shift and that it would impact everything around us. It would impact how we show up in the world, and it would impact our work and our approach to work and our approach to leadership. And what is now emerging is something different. Leadership is calling for more wisdom. So we could call it wise leadership. It is more collaborative. It's being attuned to people, the organization, the cycles that an organization is in, and recognizing what decisions need to be made and recognizing how to guide the organization, not based on the old way of doing things, but based on these new rules, this new way. For a leader, this means some things need to shift if you're going to keep up. If you think about AI and technology and how much is disrupting our work, begin to think about how your leadership needs to change as a result of the constant uncertainty, as a result of the decisions that you now need to make, and as a result of all of the disruption that's happening. What does that mean for your leadership? One of the things that is clear is that when there is a lot of uncertainty, wise leaders know how to regulate themselves before they try to lead others, before they make a decision. This is really a marrying of strategy and execution, which you have to have. And also, it values intuition. It means we have to be decisive as leaders. That is a key skill for leaders. And there is an added layer of depth that those decisions now require. That's the challenge before us. That's the time we're in right now. And what supports that is not just how you show up at work. It's not about just saying the words. It's about having a presence, a real presence, and having that set the tone more than words ever could. That is shaped by how you live. It's shaped by your lifestyle. So there are 3 qualities of wise leaders. And in 2026, these will be very important. The first is to have the ability for inner grounding, because wise leaders are grounded. You have to know when to pause. You have to be able to monitor yourself, your nervous system. You have to be able to think clearly under pressure. That ability to pause and be grounded is what allows you to make better decisions, particularly in uncertain environments. Second, there is a level of cultural intelligence that will be required. Wise leaders understand culture. They understand the inner workings and relationships of things and people systems and process coming together. The culture is not just the values or the mission, it is recognizing how people in the organization are a living ecosystem that is dynamic and ever changing. So as we move forward into 2026 and beyond, leaders will be required to pay attention. Pay attention to the organization. Pay attention to those unspoken dynamics that shifts everything, sometimes runs your organization. Pay attention to what people are not saying, not just to what they are saying. So for those of you who have that gift, there's just a knowing for some people that comes about when they are in the middle of challenge and thinking about the organization. This is a powerful skill that you will be able to flex. Third, wise leadership requires integrated living, living in a way that supports your leadership. It means having boundaries. It means recognizing what environments are safe and supportive of you, having wellness practices, having rhythms in your life, and seeing them not as something to do when you're getting ready to lose it or when you're exhausted. We're talking about building these things into your leadership infrastructure so that it helps you to lead. Leadership is a tough job. And when your life supports you and your leadership, it becomes clearer. It becomes more powerful. So for me, this understanding came through lived experience and some experimenting along the way, leading teams, navigating huge transformation within organizations, and learning the hard way that success without freedom just didn't feel good. And there was a cost to it. What I learned over time is that when I began to live differently, to focus differently in my life, and to make decisions that supported myself, I became a wiser leader. I was a good leader already. I worked hard. But this was more about becoming wise and living in a way that would support my leadership and the responsibility that I had because I was a leader. That's another video. The purpose and responsibility that comes along with leadership, that's another video. I'll do another video on that. But what I learned along the way is that by integrating stillness, reflection, and thinking critically about the culture, and really caring about how I led, became a formula for me to be successful. This channel exists for leaders who also feel that shift, for leaders who are ready to respond to it with intention. Here we explore leadership as a lifestyle. Here we explore how to bring more wisdom into our strategies. And we believe that we can truly be leaders and work and lead with wisdom and live with freedom. If that resonates with you, you are in the right place. There is a lot more to come. Subscribe and let's rise together. Share this with a leader who needs this message, who needs some encouragement, who needs to know that things are changing. What you have been dreaming is possible for your work and your leadership. It's coming. Until next time, thanks for watching.